Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Capcom Podcast. I'm Cameron.
I'm Justin.
I'm Anthony.
Jack here.
And I'm Mariam.
Yeah!
Special guest, let's go!
As you guys can see, we have a whole new setup, but here's the other thing. No one else except me can see what the setup looks like unless they're on the YouTube page right now watching it. So we're trying a new thing out today. We might have some hiccups. It's okay. But quickly, let's go through. How's everyone doing? What have you guys been up to the next 2 weeks? Or last 2 weeks, I mean. I can't talk. It's been a time. How have you guys been?
Oh, Anthony's
pondering. Justin, why don't you start?
What's coming to mind,
Justin...
Anthony? What's in the big brain going on?
Oh, jeez.
I've just been working, programming LED walls and working. Nothing crazy.
That's what I like to hear.
My mom retired, so I had a retirement party.
Yay!
That's really about it.
That's cool. That's cool.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
A lot of work, a lot of movies,
Jack just like, yeah, I watched a few movies. I don't even know how many you've logged this past 2 weeks, but
How many movies do you think you watched the last?
Probably a lot. Probably a lot. I think I'm at like 240 for the year.
Movies that came out.
I don't understand, Jack.
No,
like,
so I've seen 28 films in theater this year, but just movies that I've watched and reviewed on Letterboxd this year, I think I'm at like 240 something.
What's
I don't
the big
understand.
reaction, Cam?
Because Jack keeps telling me how he doesn't have any time.
Well,
And
how
then
could I
he's
have
tired.
movies?
And then
Plus, I got
somehow
a
he's still
7-month-old
watching
kid.
more movies than I am. And I don't understand how this works.
He's single-handedly saving the popcorn industry. I think we should
Apparently.
need to put up a statue.
So speaking of that, I always get a large drink and a large popcorn, even if I don't want it, just to support local theaters.
There you
Love
go.
that.
Aww.
Love that.
That's how it's done. We should all cut us a slice of that and go to movie theaters and order popcorn we don't want.
Or what I do is
throw out most of it every time. I get a large popcorn every time. I take like 4 handfuls and throw the rest out.
But that's sad.
Throw it out.
Yeah.
I don't want it, but I just want to support the theater.
I get that. It's a double-edged sword. It really
You
is.
can't bring it back home. It gets stale after 2 hours.
See, I get ice cream at the theaters.
Okay, that's cool.
I get these like the bonbons, these like from Magnum, where it's like basically chocolate covered, and so you bite into them, and it's so good. It's like a chocolate. And I'm a big ice cream fiend, as you guys might know. I have my own ice cream machine and everything.
That's what we call you, the ice cream fiend. Yes.
I call him the ice cream monster, but yeah.
It's in his passport as a middle name.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's in both of my passports.
What I like to play with my
Yeah?
friends, because they always kind of show a slide with all the snacks that they sell.
Right.
So I like to try to turn the names PG-13, just the language, or also what we're saying. We like to.
It's a guideline. It's a guideline, not a rule.
So we like to look at the names of the sweets that they sell, and then try to turn them into titles for movies.
Ooh,
Oh, boy.
Movies.
Oh boy.
So that's a little game my friends and I play in the movie theater.
What's
I'd
the
say
best
my
one that you've done
friends
so
and I
far?
Well, I mean, German ice creams have different names than
Yeah.
than American ice creams. So,
True.
and they still try to use the English language to make it sound cool. So there's a lot you could do with with the titles. We can make it a special episode. I don't want my first few minutes on this to already drag the level of the quality down to the basement. So maybe next time I'll prepare a list.
And I will also save my rant about the Anglicization of different countries in order to sound cool, because that really annoys me here in Germany so much. But we'll have that conversation next time. Justin, why don't you go next? What have you been up to?
I did want to apologize. I hear there was quite the stink last episode for me not showing up, specifically by Anthony, who I hear was raking me through the mud because I didn't show up for a film that I happened to
That's a
pick
point for
out.
Justin.
That's the best thing when you tell everyone to watch the movie for the
Super
podcast,
toxic.
and then you're outie. What were you saying, Miriam?
I said I thought you guys were friends. This is like super toxic. I feel like this
Oh,
is a Mean
such
Girls
good
kind of
friends.
vibe.
Such good friends.
That's the entertainment world. If it's not a little toxic, the fans are getting nothing out of it.
I love how
That's
confident
showbiz,
you
baby.
are in eating that much ice cream. Like, good for you.
Swedish, even. Yes.
I want to say I did no such thing. If anyone, it was Cameron.
You made a comment and then
and
forgot.
then I took it back.
Yeah, because Seb and I had to remind you that you weren't at your own movie.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That you were not at Boys in the Boat, and so you shouldn't hammer at Justin for him not being at his film when he had important things to do as well. So, you know,
It was very
let's
important,
not
yes.
cast stones when, you know, we've already done similar things. Just
History.
saying.
Not to mention, neither movie was that good. But
Whoa.
Put this
As
tea
someone who
over-
hasn't seen the movie I told us to watch, Ultraman, it's probably better than Boys in the Boats.
We don't
It-
have
it
to.
is
We don't have to
better.
hate on Boys in the Boats. It's not
It
that
is
bad.
better. It wasn't great.
It wasn't.
I won't
great,
be
but it's
watching
not
either one
terrible.
again anytime soon.
I liked Carrie
Valid.
better. So there
That
we
was
go.
my movie. That was my movie.
That
So I'm
was
here.
that was Jack's pick.
Okay, everyone,
Miriam,
applause for Jack, everyone. Yay, applause for Jack.
Miriam, I'd like to. Why don't you? Because we've just thrown you into this chaos and kind of just blown up.
rolling with
Right.
it.
Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do, and kind of all the amazing things about yourself that I got to learn about you. Both the one time I got to meet you in person, and now the 3 times we've had talks over Zoom.
Yeah, sure. What you're experiencing is Stockholm syndrome. I think you were looking for the term, but right. So, yeah, I'm Mariam. I'm a cross-media horror producer. It means I specialize in the genre of horror, but I work in film, television, video game development, events, marketing, and some literature as well. Basically, I have 4 different companies. Everyone specializes in a different form of media. And what I love doing is taking IPs, preferably original ones, and coming up with strategies as to how to distribute them over different forms of media in order to maximize the reach and really give fans as much as they can get with lore and world building and layers and that sort of thing. I'm a huge nerd for like concept stuff. So if it's like a puzzle or you need to look for hints and clues and sort of build it together, I freaking love that. And I think a lot of the entertainment industry does rely on already successful IPs. However, I think that those classics, they should stay classics. And I'm a big fan of looking for stories that are new and do sort of tell maybe the same sort of story in a new way, or maybe something that's representative of the times or something that the artists are personally going through. I could talk about horror all day, every day. I do consider myself a spokesperson of the genre. And to answer your question before as to what I've been up to the last 2 weeks, because I'm just going to slide right into it and
Do it.
Perfect, love it.
something. So I'm the festival producer of the Nightmare in the Ozarks Horror Film Festival. Last year was our first year, but we ended up in the New York Times, which is very exciting. And we run it with the Eureka Springs zombie crawl. So all this happens in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And we managed to get an estimated 20,000 people at the zombie crawl last year. And the festival also had over 600 people attending. So that is the 22nd to the 25th of October this year. And the hotels sell out months in advance. So the sooner you can book your hotels and your tickets, the better. And if you are a filmmaker, submit your film.
I was actually about to ask that. So, I mean, we'll do a little bit more promotion at the end, but like,
Yes.
talking about like because at every film festival, right, you have the viewership side of it, right? You're trying to get butts into seats, but you're also trying to promote filmmakers and films and different types of stories. Maybe for right now, let's have a little bit of a teaser of when the deadline is, and then we'll do a whole like 2-minute pitch at the end of the show. Like, what's the deadline right now? How far are people along? Like, where can they submit? Yada yada yada.
Well, the festival's on Film Freeway. The sooner, the better, because we've already started digging in, and we've got
Sure.
some really great submissions already. But we still have a ways to go. The late deadline is, I think, the end of August, so it is fairly late, but the sooner you can submit, the better.
Sure.
And we do work with some distributors who are looking for films as well. So early submissions means we can pass those along to some of our distribution partners. But the audience, they're not filmmakers. They are horror film fans. So if you want to just play in front of an audience and get genuine reactions from your community, our community, the horror community, this is the festival to go to.
Perfect. Love it. I mean, that's such a great pitch. I
Thanks.
don't even know if you're
That
gonna
is
have
very
anything more, but I mean,
Yeah,
amazing.
so Carrie should be
You
right
just
in your
know it
wheelhouse.
off the top of your head.
I mean,
know.
and the one thing I could throw out there is that we have the world's only zombie red carpet, and we have a life-size howler, which is a local folklore creature that we had custom made last year. So if you want to pose on the red carpet in your zombie outfit after the zombie crawl, we have a professional photographer and we'll take your photos.
What makes
Anthony,
it a
do we want to make a
zombie
horror
red
film
carpet?
next?
What? I'm sorry, what did you say, Justin?
I was saying, what makes it a zombie red carpet?
That you have to be a zombie.
You
I mean,
have
you
to,
don't
okay.
have to, but like we welcome the
It's the,
zombies
it's the
from the start.
guideline. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you don't want to, that's cool. We're not going to bully anyone, but we encourage zombies on
Right.
our red carpet, and I'd say
Ooh,
95% of the people last year on the Saturday were in zombie attire.
I want to be there. I want to do this. Oh,
Do
that
it,
sounds really
come!
cool.
I'm there.
Yes.
I'll see if I can get you guys free tickets if you can attend.
I was
Oh,
just like, Anthony, Justin, do we want to make a horror film after we make Slip by Pot? I'm a little busy right now with my next film, but after that, do we want to make a horror film? It's always been in like my list of like
You have
films that I
time.
wanted to make. I know we have
We
time,
have
but do we
plenty
want
of
it?
To make it happen, I'm a
As
producer.
in, you have
Do it.
time right now. You have time between other things.
You realize I have 3 meetings today just for Slip by Pond. Like I'm like
Yeah,
having
and you
meetings
could
till
fit a
like
fourth
11
in.
o'clock
That'd
at
be
night
great.
just to do. But also,
Amateur
your
hour. You got.
I
You
know
got
your
time.
amazing partner made this amazing art piece that I
Yes. So
put on my.
Ooh.
yeah,
This
it's
is
not
All
done
You Need Is
here.
Blood from Logan's movie, Logan Riley Bruner's who starred,
Yeah.
and that's how we actually connected it through Logan. Is they
That's
know
right.
each other?
Yeah, because the festival. So my husband is Alan Sheedy of Uncle Frank Productions, who is one of the leading horror designers for Blu-ray and media book cover art. And speaking of how many films we watch, we basically have horror films running from morning to evening every day, whether it's new films, festival submissions, stuff he has to watch to design the covers. I don't even count anymore. And one of them was All You Need Is Blood. And it was such a great film that we kind of got in touch with them and were like, please submit it to our festival, please. And I know that, they had their own marketing strategy sort of going on. And I didn't see too many festivals showing it. And I was like, people need to watch this. Like, this deserves eyeballs. And I have to admit that when we screened it at our festival, it was one of the audience's favorites because we do have them vote, and we talk to people after the screenings and get their opinions on things to pass on to the filmmakers. And people were saying that it had so much heart and it was so much fun to watch, and they loved it so much. So the audience absolutely loved the film, and I'm glad we could make it work and screen it at the end of the day.
I mean, it's a really fun movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it is on VOD right now. Hopefully, we can get Logan on about it soon. But I know they have their own kind of strategy going on. But that's how we met each other. I just want to put that in there because, because I keep it. I've had it here now for the past couple of episodes, just kind of because I was like, I don't have an actual space for it, so I'm gonna just put it with my other stuff, and I'm gonna be making a whole, thing, and I wanted to put like artwork and stuff like that there. So yeah, that being said, I guess I'll dive in real quick. As people are now nauseously aware of, I'm working on my next film, Slip by Pond, and that's been kind of going into full gear. I'm coming to the US next month. I am gonna be back in a month and 2 days. Actually, I think the first thing that I do is Justin's gonna pick me up from the airport, and then we're gonna meet Jack for lunch. Which is like, if there's anything, because Jack has my house keys. So, because my parents,
I do. They are
What
in
did you
my
do with
drawer
them?
at work. I do. They sit in my drawer, and
Cameron, you
I
love
open the drawer
friendships with
sometimes, and it says
hostage
Cameron on it.
situations.
What'd you say?
I said, why do you love friendships with hostage situations? Why is that
I
your
know,
thing?
right? I don't know.
Whoa,
I don't
I wasn't
know.
gonna say it.
We're all thinking it.
But yesterday I watched the whole. Is it Ty West or T West? Does anyone know?
It's gonna be
What the
Ty
director's?
West, right? Like T West
I
sounds
don't
like the
know.
most
Gotta
wannabe
be.
French version of the name I've
I
ever heard.
understand, but like, you know, I saw I watched all 3 of Ty West's like films, like the anthology, like I don't know if it's an anthology or a series because it's like yes, it's like both. Pearl, X, and Maxine, like all 3 in a row. And had a bunch of fun doing it. You know, watching horror and psychodramas with friends while we kind of just, you know, have a fun time doing it and having snacks at it is just something great to do if you have like 8 hours to kill.
I've actually got a
So
great anecdote because the one, and now I can't remember which one it was. I want to say Pearl. There was a scene where she okay, are we keeping this PG or not? Because it's not a
we
PG.
got to talk about if we're gonna talk about that scene. That's you know we got to
Yeah,
talk
so
about it.
she dry humps a scarecrow,
Yep,
and
that's
That's
Pearl.
Pearl.
and my
That's Pearl.
husband and I were watching the film with my in-laws because you know they have
Oh,
a worse sense of humor than I do, and
oh
you know,
no.
they're wonderful and they love horror films as well. And so we're watching this, and at some point when she's like busy and she's trying to complete her mission, to be diplomatic about it, my in-laws and my husband and I start chanting Mia, 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 and then she finishes and goes yay, and then my father-in-law's goes well, that'll scare away the crows, and I lost it, and that is my Pearl anecdote. So
Yeah.
That's iconic. That's iconic.
I turned to my husband, I'm like, I love this family and I love being part of it.
Mia
Absolutely
was just
amazing.
cast in Sean Levy's next Star Wars film, by the way.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
really? That's good to know. That'd be
It'll
exciting.
be Gosling and Mia Goth
Oh,
seem to be the
Interesting.
leads.
That's a pairing. Interesting pairing.
I thought it was a crazy casting, but I don't hate it.
No, it's interesting. That's why I love it. That
Yeah, I
being
don't hate
said,
it.
let's move on to Carrie, the movie
Let's
that
do it.
we
That's
all
why we're all
watched.
here.
That is why we're all here. Justin, you usually do a great introduction, so and we did a really poor job 2 weeks ago when you weren't here, so you need to do it.
Pressure's
So,
on.
take it
Oh, no.
away.
Well, everyone, Carrie, at a moment it was like 2013, 1976. I didn't even see 2013. Carrie 1976 is about a sweet old girl who the pressure's on. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So when you're living in 1976 and you're the nerdy kid in school, it's
What's
it's a
going
little
on?
difficult to say again?
I said, what's going on?
Merriam Dictionary, Webster Dictionary defines 1976 as
Girl gets bullied at school, teacher defends girl, but the students who get detention as a result of bullying girl want revenge on girl. And they plan a whole thing to get her. This is my worst one. I'm so sorry.
It's not great. It's not great.
You want to take it over, Jack?
I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's your classic. It's your classic tale of revenge, you know, and it's not just one-sided. The revenge. Revenge goes both way. It's exciting. There's themes of bullying, themes of coming of age, sexuality, and shame. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff, and I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah. All right.
alarmingly
You know,
to get into it.
I love this movie. When Cameron pitched the idea of doing a horror film, I heard a lot of names getting tossed around, and I said, if we're gonna do a horror film, let's do one of the classics and start there before we get into like new age horror, because this film's so influential. I mean, as you know, obviously, Mariam, in the horror industry. Not to mention, so this film was based on Stephen King's first ever published novel that he actually threw out because he was a school teacher, was trying to be a writer, threw it out, said, you know what, I'm giving up on writing. His wife fished it out of the garbage. And then two years later, they made a movie out of it. So he made the right choice, or she made the right choice.
Wild. I love
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow. I mean, anyone
yes.
want to give first impressions besides, I guess Jack gave us first impressions?
I mean, I could start
Go ahead. Go ahead.
as the horror rep here. Um, Jack already touched on a few things that are brought up in this film, and I think particularly the bullying aspect is something that's very relatable within the horror community. I think a lot of
Sure.
people who are horror fans have experienced trauma or hardship in life and have kind of turned to fiction that helps them process it or feel like they're not alone, or Carrie in particular is for some as a new subgenre one of those good for her films, as you might have seen in the memes. And then it's not just about Carrie and her experience with being bullied, but also the very, I'd say, most complicated psychological profile comes with the mother,
Right.
because there are lots of layers to that, and Carrie is really, if you were to take a step back from the story, almost like a side character to the mother's story in a way, but we can talk about this in a bit. And then in addition to all that, a school system that is not equipped to deal with the situation, where some people have their heart in the right place and want to help, other
Shout out
people
to
just want to put their head down and get things over with. But generally, the system doesn't know how to deal with these situations, and so ultimately, a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, um, eventually turns into consequences that hurt everyone involved, or one way or another, or kill everyone involved. But these are themes that I think a lot of people who have experienced bullying and especially in the horror community want to feel like, well, this is what it's like to have a moment where you can finally get back at things, but obviously it doesn't glorify the things that happen in the end. Do we work with spoilers, I'm guessing, on this podcast, right?
We have a spoiler
Yes.
section, so we will get there in a moment.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then I won't continue, but it's a very complicated situation that tackles on themes not in a complicated way, in a very understandable way. Like I said, I
Right.
think the most complex part is the psychological profile of the mother. But other than that, it's kind of like, look, this is what it's like, and if you get it, then you will enjoy this movie.
How good is Piper Laurie as the mother too? She is so terrifying.
Yeah, I think if I'm allowed to talk about that character a little bit,
Sure.
I think what makes her terrifying is that she has obviously gone through a lot herself, and a lot of indoctrination to the point where she hates herself as a woman, and that is heightened when she gets involved with a man who, even though she's been told, I'm guessing by her parents and community, that anything sexual is sin, um, he then uses her for her body despite her not wanting to engage in this. And then that really difficult mix of, on the one hand, her body kind of wanting some of it, but not this way, and then feeling guilty about it because it's very blurry whether it's assault or not. It sounds like it was, but she doesn't understand it in her own head and hasn't processed it because he was also drunk and it was her husband, which, unfortunately, up to only just a few years ago, wasn't even illegal in all states in the US. And so a lot of that is then when her daughter goes from being a girl to a woman, all that hatred over the fact that she is a woman and that she's a woman's body, and she experienced so much trauma and pain for her womanhood, suddenly just spills right over into how she looks at Carrie and how she hates Carrie because she kind of hates herself, which she does because of the trauma she experienced. So
I
it's very
think that, yeah.
complex.
I think that moment in that first, I think that's one of the most powerful moments in that first act for me, is when she comes home, when Carrie comes home and her mother is like asking why she did it, and Carrie's like, I didn't do anything. It's such a powerful moment at the beginning of this film. Um, in a film that, like, I enjoyed very much, but felt there was so much going on that I'd wish it almost been longer. Because I feel like the whole opening, a lot of like what's building up to, feels like a very rushed in this film. To me at least. Um, I would have loved more elaboration and more of a deep dive, or more of a kind of building to some of these themes and ideas that are brought into it. That I don't always think are 100% happening. But the payoff is just so much fun at the end. We'll get to that in a moment, but that's kind of my overall like thoughts on this, is that I feel like we could have I always get super I don't know why we've come to an age where like we're vilifying long films right now, which I don't think is necessary. We just need to be good with our time, and I feel like sometimes when a film is too long, it's because of the pacing, but I feel like we could also make films that don't always like, not all films need to be 90 or 100 minutes. We can have 2.5 hour long films. And I feel like this film is missing some of the nuance, or it's missing some building potential that could have made the payoff even more powerful, at least to me.
But in context
Yeah,
of its release in the 70s, do you think it would have been as successful if they had added those nuances? Because it did get
maybe not.
mainstream success, and that's why we still are aware of it and can still talk about it. Do you think that would have worked otherwise in the 70s?
Maybe not. I did not. I wouldn't know. I mean, because a part of it's also right, and I think we have this weird lens within us that like we're all like a bunch of us are filmmakers, and then there's Jack who just loves to watch movies, and so like we come in with
Sicko.
with a very different perspective compared to like the average viewer. Right? Like I will have critical eye for some things, right? As a director that like Justin, who's a writer, has different critical thoughts to, right? Or like Anthony, who edits and who lights, will have other critical thoughts to it than I do, and we all kind of look at that through our lens. But I don't know. I guess movies in the 70s were, I guess, on the average shorter, although that's not always 100% true.
All of
But
them,
I
not the ones that won Oscars.
Sure, but as much as I love the Oscars, is that really what we're comparing to what like an average film was, right? That's not a fair assessment to have. Um,
And also the horror
but
genre was like shunned as like the lesser genre for a very
oh, it
long
still
time.
is.
Which
I
It
mean,
it still is.
still is.
Yeah, I mean,
we're going
it
through a
still
shift
is.
right now. Things
Yeah, but
are sort of changing. But in the 70s, oh my God, if you acted in too many horror films, for example, you wouldn't get roles in any other films.
Right, you're
yeah, but there's
typecast as a screamer or whatever it may be. Yeah.
but that's also but that's also part of the Satanic Panic kind of stuff too, right? It's like, D&D was not a popular thing back then, only because everyone was like, oh, D&D is gonna make you demonic. Which, by the way, I still have conversations with people that believe this. Like someone that I know like invested in the 20-sided tavern, the D&D like Broadway show, and I like made a joke about like hell ghouls and stuff like that. And he's like, that's not funny. I don't know if that's a good influence or not. And I'm like, come on.
Where can I
Anyway.
sign up for this D&D round? That one sounds like a party.
But the whole idea, like I think to me, I was so interested in these characters. I think if we're talking about just like a film that's more going to be a box office hit and is just supposed to get the masses in, there's a lot of nuance in this film that if you're attuned to it, you can grab it. But if you don't really care about those nuances, then you could also it could also like fly over your head and you'll still understand the story, if that makes sense. I think there are some ideas that like are definitely in there, but there are others that like don't always hit, or like are not, you don't see as big of a thing until maybe you really analyze it, if that makes sense, which I think
Yeah,
kind of
and this
attributes
was
to why
very
it's
much
the
a
box
box
office
office
success.
hit.
Yeah.
It was. It slayed. It had a 1.8 million budget, made over 33 million.
Yep.
Wow.
In 1976. So
that's some good money over there. That's some good money.
That's been like $30 billion now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have bought a house with that money.
Multiple houses with that money.
Cover your groceries with that money.
Anthony, Justin, any thoughts?
I definitely thought like I'm not gonna say the exact scene. There's one scene near the end of the movie, and like that alludes to different cuts of the movie. But I definitely saw like there is a portray of, I guess, like religion, and that also has to do with the mother, with her love for Christ and stuff like that. That I thought was interesting. I didn't want to say the movie digged at Christianity or Catholicism, but they definitely played with one of the themes of the movie.
Yeah,
That intrigued
it
me.
touched on like religious fanatics almost. Because
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
organized religion, but then there's like the fanatical side, and it definitely touched on that.
Yeah, and it's all
So
about
maybe not a
power.
shot at organized religion, but
It's all about power dynamics, right? And so when you have institutionalized power and you use faith as an excuse, because I think we all also know people who are religious and are fantastic people and wouldn't do what Carrie's mom did. But if it's an excuse to be horrible, then you're using it for power. And you know, if that is not coming from a place of positive motivation, then yeah. But the institution is also the school, and the institution is the community. Like, everyone seems to know that Carrie's mom is a screw job, and no one's doing anything to help this kid. You know, it's very much the not my issue. Let me just turn the other cheek, out of sight, out of mind, sort of
Even
situation.
just the
yeah, because she
adults in
goes
town
door
will
to
be like
door.
laughing
Yeah.
about the concept of her going to prom. It's like, what is wrong with you people? Like, and you know,
Who thought about this? Yeah.
I spent a lot of the time in the movie going like, there's no way that the students are this evil, right? Right? And then I go, I guess that is kind of real. But then you look at the adults, it's like, this is just people. This is like, it's scary.
Doesn't change.
No, but this was I don't know
Just gets
how
more nuanced.
many
Let's
of you
talk. Let's
felt
get
about
into
this
those
movie.
nuances. Let's talk. Let's lift those spoilers and let's
Well,
put
I want to see
spoilers
what
in
Jack
there.
has to say, because he looks like he's got an opinion on something that's important.
Well, I've got opinions on lots of stuff. Where do we want to start? So we can talk about imagery, and one of my favorite pieces of kind of imagery was the mirror in Carrie.
Sure.
She has
Yeah.
this mirror in her room that she looks at, and in the beginning of the film, you know, it's fine. Then after the whole puberty scene happens, and she comes home, and her mom blames her for menstruating, and she breaks the mirror, right? And then so throughout the rest of the film, she's looking into this shattered mirror, and there's like that crack that goes right across her face. And as her, you know, telekinesis grows, it's not that she's evil, but it's almost like a broken version of herself. And I just thought it was like a really powerful image.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what to comment to that because like I feel like it's like a nail on the head on that whole
Yeah.
imagery dynamic.
And, and then it makes this huge sound, and the mom's like, "What the heck is this?" I love that. In this, are we in spoiler section technically?
We are in spoiler section, yes.
Awesome.
Okay. When did we drift into that?
There is a graphic. We're still trying to figure out how to get you guys to see the graphics. Technical. Again, we're working.
Or just hold up like a little sign, right, that says spoiler, and then.
So it is. So basically, so right now at the bottom lower third, we have a thing called for Carrie for like talking about like lower third of what the movie is, and next to it is like spoilers. Okay,
cool.
So people can see. Yeah.
Justin, continue.
I think one of the most interesting elements of the movie, in general, to me, and it does relate back to. I would love to speak more about Carrie's mother, just in general, but very specifically, I love that as Carrie grows in these telekinesis abilities, that the mom within this perspective that the mom has in the world, that the telekinesis abilities slots right in. With anyone else in the world, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this is wild." But for it's like, I get it. This is Satan. Yeah, I mean, this makes sense.
Logic.
I'm not happy about this, but like, yeah, you have powers. You're using them on me. I should have seen this coming. And it's there's something very funny about that, but it's also something very scary that's very insightful about the mom's character in that.
Okay, question to that though. Is it possible that maybe Carrie inherited those powers from her mother, and maybe the reason why the mother is so screwy is because when she got her period and started becoming a woman, that her powers seemed like they were out of control, so she was oppressed and suppressed, and that's why she's doing that with her daughter? Is that possible?
Possible.
I think that makes a lot of sense to me because so much about the mom's character is about suppressing these big feelings and these natural desires. So if she's been needing to suppress the same thing her whole life, and then she sees it in Carrie, and she sees herself in such negative ways, she sees Satan in herself. She's got to then just project that straight onto her daughter. So I think that makes sense. This was my first time seeing the movie. I
I
assume
could see
most
that,
people have
and
seen it many times, but this is like
that's a common theme in Stephen King. That's a common theme is ESP telekinesis throughout so many of his
Sure.
books and films. I mean, look at The Shining. Just there's so many examples of just so to be in Stephen King's world. It's not like only one person has his power. So I think that that's very possible.
And do we know, because I've only seen the first one, do we know if the father did leave the mother for another woman, or if maybe the mom killed him and that was the rumor
ooh.
that people just said?
I
So
thought
one
the
of
mom
last
killed him. I
questions.
don't know for a fact, but that's what I assumed. Is the mom killed him?
Does anyone here
Because
seen the remake?
she liked the sex,
I've
but
seen
she
the remake.
didn't. She knew it was evil type thing.
Yeah.
And she did try to kill Carrie too at the end because of telekinesis
I mean,
ability.
she
So like,
did. Yeah.
why wouldn't she try to kill the dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
I always assumed that she killed the dad.
I never thought about that because
That's headcanon.
I feel like the simplest read, which is not always the most apt, but the simple read is it is as she said, and that has fueled so deeply her hatred of connection, or more maybe more specifically with men. Why she hasn't wanted to go back out into the world. She's upset about Carrie going out into the world. She knows how this story ends, so to speak. The man, and I wouldn't be that shocked at the concept of a man wanting to run away from her. Maybe she's maybe a little intense.
I
I'm
want to know how
terrified
they
for
met.
Carrie
Like,
every single moment that she has to be in the house with this woman. But
So we don't think that she got fanaticalized before after like something happened with her. Like you don't, because I thought
No,
the husband is what triggered this.
I think it started way before.
You think it's already
Because
before?
of
I think
it's
it was before. Yeah.
yeah, it sounded like she married him because they had sex, and she felt like because he took her virginity, it would only be okay if she became his wife. And maybe he was religious as well, and so he felt the same way. And so they got married because she did say that they were intimate before getting married, and so I
they
don't
were
want to.
praying
But
I
also
for
from the context,
praying for strength when they had the urges. Yeah.
but the
Yeah,
context also assumes that um that the mother thinks that you can only have your period when you are intimate,
that is
right?
true.
Like that's how I understood what she was saying.
yes, but you also need to keep in mind that, like, just biologically speaking, stress can make you stop having your period, as an example, and there are other ways to not have your period. And so, if we are going with the theory that maybe she has the same powers as Carrie, then she would have been dealing with trauma through her family and maybe even community
Sure.
for a while. And it does sound like that first time she was with her eventually husband was against her will. And then one thing kind of just led to another, and then she was his problem and no longer her parents' problem, quote unquote. So yeah, I don't know. I do think that this woman just jumped from one trauma to another, and that whole telekinesis is sort of, I guess, symbolic for the power a person can have or a woman can have, the things they can do in the world that can be good or evil, but that power is in that person once you become, an adult, or in this case a woman. And whenever someone embraces that power, just like Carrie did when she realized that she didn't want to take crap from her mom anymore. And
Right.
it's
Yeah.
harder to control and manipulate people who feel confident in what they're capable of. So I could totally see her mom going through something similar and being punished more severely than Carrie was, because maybe she was even more, she was even wilder than Carrie. The fact that she was even in a situation where she could be intimate with a man. Our Carrie didn't have those options. Her mom was checking when she went to school, when she came back, she was controlled a lot more. So it would explain a lot.
That makes
Yep.
sense.
I want to know where the mother, like, do you think it's a generational thing? Like the mother's, like Carrie's grandmother treated her mother and suppressed her mother like this, or do you think
Yeah.
it's more of a thing that like occurred, like when he met, when she met her husband or something like that? Like when did she become this almost like not lunatic, almost like this lunatic when it comes to right and wrong and what you have to be?
I mean, hard to
It's
say.
a good question.
Does it matter? Like ultimately,
No.
you don't become extreme unless you are pushed to it. So whether her family was like that, like the Carrie's grandparents, or whether it was like a consequence of something else, sometimes people have very non-religious parents and then go the complete opposite way. And again, if sexual assault is involved, then you're going to have an extreme reaction. And we're talking about like the 50s that Carrie was conceived, right? So we're talking about a post-war World War II world as well, where, I mean, just trying to, and I'm thinking out loud here, but like during the Second World War, women were becoming super independent because the men were gone for so long.
No one
And
was there. Yeah.
yeah, and so you in the 40s and 50s, you sort of had like these two movements where on the one hand you had women who didn't need men and were also villainized by society, and then you had women who were trying to be the perfect wife for whatever reason and were kind of just falling into traditional tropes and stereotypes and lifestyles. And effectively that would have been the world where Carrie was conceived. So it's very possible that she was either gaining her independence or it was the opposite. She was trying to be a good, housewife, and there's no way to know.
Right.
But both are possible.
I'd like to talk about this prom scene, like the whole thing. It's like it is
Fantastic.
It is so well done. It is the payoff that I'm waiting for since the beginning of the movie,
Yep.
and it is so worth it. It's like I watch it and I go, man, this is what horror, the fun part of horror is for me. It's like this like overly gorish, but like super like grounded too. But also just a little goofy, and I love that. It's like it's all of that. It's like with the you start with the bucket and then she freezes and then Carrie like goes wide-eyed and then the whole world kind of just breaks apart, for lack of a better word, right? And with everyone in horror and with like the few people that knew what was going on, right? You have the one, oh, I'm forgetting all the people's names now, but you have the teacher, then the one kid that bullied her whose boyfriend took her to the prom, right? And then
Wait,
the
well,
bully.
Sue's not really a bully. So Tommy took
No.
her to the prom. Sue isn't really a bully. Sue sees her being bullied and wants to genuinely help. The bullies are Chris, who's a girl, and John Travolta's character, Tommy?
No,
Right?
Tommy brought her to prom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, Tommy brought it. But
Let's just
what's
call him John
Travolta's
Travolta.
character?
This
Billy.
is called John
John
Travolta.
Travolta.
It's Billy.
Johnny.
It's Billy.
Oh, Billy?
Chris and Billy are really going to be your main villains. Chris is the woman with the girl with the curly hair who she's not allowed to go to prom because the gym teacher takes her prom ticket away.
Right.
And then Billy is John Travolta. So they're going to be really the main, well, other than the mom, obviously, are going to be the main two bullies. But Sue was genuinely trying to help Carrie. And you don't really realize that
but towards the middle,
part of the scheme or not.
At the beginning, Sue is just like every other girl, and then kind of through all this realized that she screwed up.
She comes around, yeah.
Right, but that's like, but she saw what was happening. I mean, I'm not blaming her for what happened here, but like she made the dots right as like if she would have acted a second quicker, she could have stopped all of this from happening.
Yeah, but
the
she
gym
didn't
teacher stopped her because the gym teacher thought
no,
she was
didn't
part
know.
of it.
She saw it in the very last moment.
Yeah, and I also think that the blonde dude who took her to prom, Tommy,
yeah.
that Tommy also, he also didn't know, and there's some things that
he was genuine.
That he said that he's like, I'm actually having a good time, and it was really I was super sad with
gives her a kiss.
Yeah, and I think it's it's the blonde and Danny Zuko. Sorry, I can't remember their names. And then all their followers, because obviously there's like a clique dynamic as well,
Yeah.
and
Right.
people are just doing stuff to appease them, and because that's just what you do. It's like what we were talking about before, where like some bullies are just are actual jerks, and, and they, even when
Yes.
you meet them as adults, they don't really change. Like some people are just bullies, you know, and some people are followers, and for the sake of being close to power, you know, sort of help the bullies out with whatever that it is they want to do, so they feel
Right.
better about themselves. But yeah, I feel bad for Sue. No, was it Sue?
Yeah. Sue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue and
Sue.
Tommy. Sue and Tommy are
And
like
the
boyfriend
teacher.
and girlfriend, and they try
And
to
the
be
Who
nice.
teacher.
like
to her.
is trying
Yes.
so hard and then just like fails.
Yeah,
And
didn't
it's
work
so
out.
sad.
Yeah.
And
The teacher was an interesting one though, because yes, she was trying to help. She wasn't really doing it the right
Did she
way.
make things worse?
A little
mean,
bit.
Did she
You think
hit
so?
several students?
And yeah, I was gonna say you gotta love the 70s where smacking your students around or your girlfriend was just like
Oh
the
gosh.
Oh,
Man.
is that at the movie that he does that?
That's no,
Twice.
John Travolta does that
He
in
does
the
it
car.
No, I'm saying
like
at the
two
movie. Doesn't
different
he do it
scenes.
at the drive-in movie?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
she like and then she rewards him after, and it's like
Oh yeah, of course.
different times.
That is an example of two wrongs definitely don't make a right, and we need to identify that as an important theme.
That's a theme in the film too. It's like it's
Right?
about
Like-
revenge, but does revenge make things better or does it make it
Right.
worse?
And again, it's power
And
dynamic. Like, who is in control? And the answer is no one. No one's in
Right.
control.
Nobody.
But
And then
everyone
Carrie-
wants to be in control.
And then Carrie flips over the car in the most, what I can only say is the most 70s way possible.
I
And-
wanted a slower death for those two. to
I
be
was thinking the same
completely
thing. Yeah.
honest.
It happened so quickly.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was awesome, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go
Also,
ahead.
the one thing that confused me in the movie, we were kind of alluding to it earlier. And this could have just been a me thing. I was not tracking that Sue and Tommy were like legit on Carrie's side until like
Well, you're
fairly
not supposed to
late
know.
into the movie.
I
You're
think
not
we're supposed
know.
to-
Supposed to know?
I-
Okay.
yeah.
I
feel like that's a
I
question
couldn't
mark.
tell what the intention was with the movie.
Yeah, you're not supposed to know.
Which
Because
is
aren't they
why-
dating or are they friends?
They are
They
dating.
are dating.
thought
Yeah,
they
they
were
are
dating.
dating.
She gave up her boyfriend to ask the boyfriend to go.
What
Yeah, you don't
is
know if they're
this?
part of the
It just,
plot
it,
or
I was
trying
like,
to help.
Right.
this feels too good, and like,
Which let's
but
talk
also
about the
other plot
70s.
was happening at the same time. I just assumed that was all one thing together. But then you see
Yeah.
Stu like looking at the
That's the
bucket,
point.
really confused at the end, and that's when I started
you
to consider,
realize-
oh, I guess she is not in on this. Okay, which means that
Yeah.
Tommy wasn't either, because she'd be the only connection to him. I guess
Yep.
Tommy's been a good boy this whole time,
Well,
which
I mean,
made
He
me
was.
happy and sad. What were you saying?
the way I interpreted it is that sometimes, and especially when we're teenagers, but I think adults as well, you kind of think that a good deed will sort of fix years of trauma. It's kind of like, oh, come on, Tommy, take her to prom, show her a good time, and everything will be fine.
Right.
And it's unfortunately more complicated than that. You can't reverse trauma in an evening through one good deed. And I
Right.
think that is, if we're in the spoiler section,
Yeah.
why ultimately she dies the way she does by taking her mother and going to the place where she had been punished, because she was so emotionally dependent and manipulated by her mother that even when she was facing death, this poor little girl, because she's still a teenager, right? She couldn't just go and you
Yeah.
could leave and join the X-Men, do some cool shit, but instead like goes into a closet, dies with her mom who she killed out of
Yeah.
self-defense. And it's like, yeah, it just shows how complicated trauma makes things. It's not, you can't just be like, shouting at the TV, well, I would have done this, because when you're in that situation, it's really, really complex. And
Can we?
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry, I just like talking about the mother. This thought image has been in my head this whole entire time. And it's when Carrie's like throwing the knives at her mother.
Yeah.
She positions her mother the same exact way that Jesus statue is positioned in her room.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I love it.
Yep.
This is so good.
As
They,
much as you love the eyes on that Jesus
Yeah.
statue, they're like
I
bugging
the
out.
eyes freaked me out.
I mean, that's Carrie's eyes towards
The
the end
eyes freaked me out
also.
so
Yep.
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
And all of this is only to make an ending that I feel like just I don't know. My personal feeling about the whole ending of the film when she grabs out at the end to Sue.
Well, that was
I was like,
just a dream.
I was like, I feel like just like I don't know, it's a retcon or it's something, but like I feel like it was so powerful when she died and the house collapsed. It's like that could have ended the film and I would have been so much happier, personally.
Yeah, but I don't think that didn't really. She didn't really. You know, she's still dead.
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just a
Yeah,
dream.
but I was like, but
That's
why
just
do we
Sue,
have
now.
this?
That's
But
just
what's
Sue's
the?
own trauma now messing
Yeah.
her up.
I get okay.
Yeah, it's the
that
fact
makes sense.
that the whole experience still has a grip
Yeah.
on her virtually.
Yeah, she's
and-
definitely dead.
And also that scene, by the way, is what kicked off that whole trend of, you know, the villain or the bad guy still jumping out one more time.
Yeah.
Like in Friday the 13th and stuff. It started with Carrie. And yeah, I do think the symbolism is that it's not over and it won't be over for a very long time. And that she's got her own trauma now. So it is it doesn't seem like the best ending, but I do think yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also really liked how the movie starts with a shower, right? And she's getting clean, and then there's a trickle of blood, and the movie kind of not ends, but at the end there's a shower of blood. So like it starts and she's pure and she's getting clean in the shower, and then there's a trickle of blood and puberty starts, and then by the end it's just a shower of blood and she's just off the rails.
Well, I mean, what I personally like about the that scene, and also, you know, generally throughout the film, there's several moments where we see reality through the gaze of Carrie. So not
Yeah.
really how things actually are. So when we're in that shower scene and we see like all these beautiful naked girls walking around, and that is how Carrie sees them, as these beautiful creatures, if you will. And then the moment reality kicks in and the tone changes, they're all just a bunch of nerdy schoolgirls again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Different shape, size, clothes, glasses, hair, whatever. And that's how we would see them as normal high school students. But from Carrie's perspective, they are just like these gorgeous, perfect beings, and she can't come close to them. Just like when she's on stage and she's being laughed at, they do that effect where it looks like she's zooming in on certain faces and it's like kaleidoscopy. And that's because some of them may be laughing, but they're probably not all laughing and probably not as severely as she is, but she's like zooming in on them and thinking of her mom's words. And that again is Carrie's gaze. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's reality. And I think that intro shower scene already sets precedent for that.
And
yeah, for sure.
Can't imagine a reality in which they would all be laughing at something so terrifying,
dramatic.
Like the blood spill.
Right.
Tommy got hit in the head and collapsed. Like who's
God,
even if you don't like Carrie, like who's laughing at this? But again, there's I think your explanation makes a lot more sense in that context.
Good. Yeah, it's good.
We're gonna get you back on for some more horror,
but you're just seeing through their eyes.
Yeah, bring me on for horror anytime, man. I'm here for it.
This was great. We got a little. We
are
got
getting
a
close
horror
to the
pro.
end. We are getting close to the end of our episode, but we have one more thing that we absolutely need to do, and that is
wait for it
with me, guys. Rate.
Film, movie, cinematic piece.
Yay! We rate that movie. We're never doing it all in sync. We're all just a bunch of goofballs. All right, guys.
Can't target.
I gotta give this film a solid 7 out of 10 for me. It's a really good film. I really like it. No, I'm sorry. On my
bring it higher, Cameron. As a person who's not
good classic,
give it a realistic rating, I need you to do it.
Fine, Jack. You want to give me a rating?
All right.
You're so against
Letterboxd, I gave it 4 stars, but it's closer to about an 85 than it's above an 80 for me. It's not quite at a 90.
It's
but,
just not my favorite horror
film. It's in
film.
that mid-80s range.
It's a good
just
horror
because,
film, not my favorite.
As someone who gets a little spooked a little too easily, this is just the right kind of horror film for me. Where it's scary, but it's so based in heart, you know, like
Right.
you really
Yeah.
feel for these characters. They're really nuanced characters. The scary stuff isn't like, it's more, at least to me, more fun / interesting than scary, but like it's a good blend. It's a lot of fun. I give it a 2000.
Out of
Love
10?
it.
Yeah,
I-
why not? I don't.
That's a good score.
Anthony,
That's
you
a
wanna
good
give a
score.
rating?
Over 9,000?
Yeah. I'm also gonna
I
give it a
thought he was going
7 out of 10, and like it's just because this is me nitpicking. I
Okay.
really would love. I know it's in the 70s too, but I really love to see a little bit more cinematic scenes, a little bit more like well lit scenes, because I thought that was what the movie was kind of lacking. Like the cinematic aspect of it was it wasn't there,
Okay.
and like for
But
other
consider
movies,
the scene where Carrie and Tommy are spinning
I see that.
together.
see, like I thought that was overdone, in my opinion. Like
Really
it was cool,
It
interesting.
was
and I thought it was
magical.
over. It
They're
was way
spinning
too
very
long. I feel like they
It
needed
was
that needed to be
dizzying
cut
a
a
Oh,
little
that
bit.
whole
I was like,
scene,
wow,
that
Yeah.
that'd be how I feel in the
got
moment.
me
Yes.
vertigo. That scene
It
with
was
Carrie
way
and
too
Tommy got
long.
me vertigo. When
It's
they're spinning and we're
awesome.
spinning the other way, I'm like, oh, I got dizzy. It was really bad. Like
I
it
love
was
how we
good,
get
but it was
start getting like
really like I
shaky
got really
cam
dizzy.
when we get to the final scene with the mom. It's like, oh, we weren't doing this before.
No.
We got those.
All
We
right,
had a few
what do you
Dutch
rate it?
angles.
We
had
got.
a
I
few
was gonna
Dutch
say
Yeah.
Dutch angles.
Yeah.
There was it was a
later
Yeah,
good
yeah.
as
What
far
do you
as
rate it?
I see where you're coming from now.
Well, before I rate it, I wanted to add, and please
Mhm.
fact check this, don't take this as gospel, but I
For sure.
believe Stephen King originally threw the book away when he wrote it, because he
said
was
that
a
already.
teacher, yeah, and
I
his
said that.
wife. Oh, you did? Okay, yeah, his wife
Yeah, I
fished
I
think
told
you
that
hit at the
story
beginning.
already.
right?
I told that
Um,
story already.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I do want to say, like taking that because he was a teacher, right? And so
Right.
he's writing about students and school and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because
Okay.
there are a lot of stories about bullying that do a very stupid job at telling them, and that whole thing with Stephen King working as a teacher, I feel shines an additional layer of nuances to the whole thing. And so
First-hand experience.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of firsthand experience, and I think you can, as we've only been talking about it for less than an hour and have dissected so many nuances. And I
There's so
think
much more we can say. Yeah.
there's so much more to say. So
Yes.
I do think that the only reason why I'm not giving it that extra point was because I'm probably looking for more layers to Carrie's character. Like I said, this felt like
Mm,
mother's story, but told
mhm.
through Carrie's perspective.
Mhm.
And I feel like it would have been nice to get to know Carrie a little better,
Yeah,
and not just have her as means to an end. But generally,
Yeah.
I think for especially a bullying story and how the ending was more true to reality than just like a revenge porn sort of thing where it's
Right.
like, yeah, I get that revenge. I think yeah, it's a really solid film, so I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10.
Love it. Well, that's it.
Yeah, let's go.
That being said, Miriam, the floor is yours. Just tell me everything about this festival.
Oh my
Tell
God.
me just like
Yeah.
everything you want to say before we kind of wrap it up, I guess, because like we just
Well,
took all of the time always to talk about Carrie, and I
know.
love when we get to have episodes just like this.
Good. It's a great film. Thank you for
It
having
was
me
a
on for
good
this
movie,
one.
and there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, bring me on for other horror films. So regarding the festival, Nightmare in the Ozarks, whether you're attending or you're submitting a film, check it out. The website, Nightmare in the Ozarks, Film Freeway. And if you want to follow me and my ridiculous antics on Instagram at lady_Mariam_Michael. And if you want to DM me and talk about films and horror content that you like, please do. I'm not going to push you away and shun you because I have followers. We're all
Love it.
and I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, and I want you to listen to me, and I want to listen to you, and let's do it.
Well, that's an amazing ending to this episode. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of the Capcom Podcast. Miriam, thank you so much for coming on. Can't wait to have you back again. But that being said, I'm Cameron.
I'm still Justin.
I'm Anthony.
I'm Jack.
And I'm
We'll
Mariam.
see you.
Woo!
And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.